Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card we're making today. Isn't it cute? It's a perfect card for anybody who likes to shop, and it uses List Shop suite of products from Stampin' Up. And here you can see I've done a lot of colouring. So this is the stamp set. It's called Let's Go Shopping, and we're going to be using a lot of the images on there. So I've got my Stamparatus set up, and we're going to be stamping a Memento Tuxedo Black, but we're colouring in with Stampin' Blend alcohol markers, so we give everything a good ink up. And I know I'm using the Stamparatus that's retired, but I've still got it and it's useful, so I'm using it. A stamping tool does really help here, so I'm just giving everything a little second ink to get a really good impression. There we go. And I'm just stamping on a scrap piece of basic white cardstock. And I'll give everything a little clean up using the simple chamois. There we are. And now I'm just going to take the stamps off, and I just store them on the front of my case until I'm finished with everything, and then I can put everything away. But that way nothing goes missing. So let's get rid of the Stamparatus, put the magnets in its home, and we're going to continue to do a little bit of stamping, but I'm going to use my blocks this time because it's just very small little images that I'm doing. So here I'm deciding what image I want to go in the window of my shop, and I can choose between books, or I can have some sweet treats, and I go for the books, I think, same as I did before. I've changed my mind again, we're going for the sweet treats. Okay, so let's stamp up and see what we've gone for this time. Yeah, and clean up as we go along. I'm a great believer in cleaning up as you go along, saves a lot of hassle in the end. Now you can see I'm just using my grid paper to line up my sentiments, and I'm just going to stamp it in this little rectangle here. Happy birthday. Lovely jubbly. Clean that up as well. And now I'm going to stamp my little foliage. Well, no, I'm going to stamp my little cafe seats, and I'm going to stamp 3 of these. And I'm going to just fussy cut those out. They don't actually have a matching die. And then we're going to stamp a little foliage. And I stamp, I think, at least 5 or 6 little pots of foliage, so I have plenty to scatter around however I like. And that's why I've used the blocks. It's just much quicker for things like this. I've already got some coloured in and stamped, which is why I've only done 4 this time. So let's clear the decks and get ready to do some colouring. And as I said, we're going to colour using the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers, and I'm going to show you in a minute what colours we're going to be using. And we've got crumb cake, we've got pumpkin pie, shaded spruce, soft sea foam, poppy parade, balmy blue, lemon lolly, and petal pink. And you can see here I've used petal pink just for the walls, and soft sea foam for my menus, etc. And you can see here I'm going to start colouring. So I'm starting here with my petal pink, and I'm just going in with my darker colour, just adding some highlights where I think it needs to be, where things might be, the shadows might be. And then I'm going to go in with my lighter colour and just blend all of that out. And I thought this just gave a very light colour to the stonework, almost like it was a bit sun-kissed, and it just matched the rest of the colours on my project. So that is what I chose. So here you just see I'm just adding a bit more shadows in, and just keep going back and forth between the 2 colours, and between the 2 shades I should rather say, until I'm happy. Now I'm going to go in with some crumb cake. I think this is. It's either crumb cake or pecan pie. I think it's actually pecan pie. And I'm just adding again the shadows here around the window and the doorstep, etc., and there as well in the letterbox. And this definitely is the pumpkin pie. So before we used was actually crumb cake that we were using. And you can see here I'm just adding the dark shades wherever I think I'm going to need them. So I've done that on the house, and I'm just doing it here to the pots, and also on the lights, and here also on the little banner as well. So now I'm going in with the lighter colour and just adding in my shading. There we go, filling it all in, and also the top here of the shop. The shop comes in two pieces, so you can either have a single story or a double story house. It's just up to you. And you can see here I'm just adding some colouring to my little seats, going with the darker, and also here as well. This is with the crumb cake, and I'm just going and adding the light and then the dark, just finishing it off nicely. There we go. And now in my windows I'm adding a little bit of dark balmy blue, and then I'm actually using my colourless lifter just to blend that out, so you only get just a very hint of blue in areas of that. I didn't want it to look too blue because it's actually inside the house. Now I'm going in with my Poppy Parade, and again I'm starting with my dark colour, and then I'm going to go in again with my lighter colour and just blend all of that out. And I feel this gives a real pop of lovely bright red to the whole design, so otherwise everything just looked a little bit browny, blue, pink, just looked more subtle, and this really gives it a lovely pop of colour. Now we're going in for our foliage, and we're going to use shaded spruce. So the same thing, I tend to go with my darker colour first and then with my lighter colour. So we're just blending that out again, and I love this green for the foliage. I think it really looks great against the pecan pie. So there we have that. So now we're going to cut everything out with the matching dies. As you can see, there's lots of them here, and we're just going to put them in place and hold them in place with a little post-it note tape. So then I'm going to put that through the die cutting machine. I'm also going to die cut this little lamppost for some basic grey cardstock. And if by magic here everything is already cut out, ready to assemble. So let's start. I've put through a piece of basic white cardstock through this embossing folder called Exposed Brick, and this just measures 14.35 centimeters by 10. And then I've got here a card base, and this is Pecan Pie, a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. And then I'm putting a piece of basic white, the same measurements as the front, just on the inside for an insert. So I'm just putting a good amount of Tombow down. I think my Tombow's playing up there. And there we go. And now we're just going to stick the piece of basic white we put through the embossing folder on the front, and this just gives a little bit of added interest where there's no other interest in the background of our design. So now we're ready to start to assemble our project, and you can see here I'm going to start off with my little shop, and I'm going to put on the back here my infill with my lovely little tasty treats, and I'm just going to align them where I want them and then stick it down, and then I'm going to use my trusty scissors just to cut off anything that's hanging over the edge. And there we go. So now we can put our little house together, or a little shop together I should say. So we're going to put a tiny bit of Tombow along the top of the shop and attach it to the base of the house, of the next story. And then we're going to put Tombow on everything and stick that down, just like that. Lovely. So now we can start to arrange everything else, and you can see here I've got this little piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock, and I'm just going to use the tiniest of tiny weeny little pieces just at the back of my lamppost, just to make it look like there's a yellow glow. So I've just cut out the smallest piece. I'm even cutting that down to even something even smaller, and then going to get my silicone mat out so that I hopefully try not get glue all over the show, though I have to say that doesn't always work. Whoops, you can see it's trying to run away on me. And then I'm going to just put down my little piece of yellow, cut off anything that's overhanging, and now I'm just going to stick it down. So I'm putting some glue on the base of my lamppost, and then using a mini dimensional for the head of the lamppost just to sort of give it a bit of dimension so it looks like it's rising up. So stick that in the corner. Lovely. Now we're going to arrange our little cafe chairs. So we've got 3 of them. I like to work in groups of 3. I think it just looks better on the eye. So then we've got some foliage, and I'm just sort of, laying everything out how I think I'm going to want it before I actually commit to sticking it down. So maybe something like that. And then let's start to stick down. So some of these I'm going to pop up, some of these are going to be flat. It just depends on where they are in the design. So you can see this one, because it's at the back, it's going to be flat. And then we'll put a little bit of glue on top of our cafe chairs there. And then the one here at the front is going to be popped up, so it just looks as if it's more in the foreground of the design. And then we're going to just pop and tuck those little chairs behind. And then these ones are going to get popped up. I'm just using the mini dimensionals here. They make life very much more easy because they're just so small. You don't have to cut down your larger ones. And then let's see, we're going to stick that one down, and yeah, we're going to pop this one up. So there we have our foliage. Now we have our design here, and I want to pop this up as well so it really stands out from the shop. So dimensionals on the back of that as well. And then you can see here, I'm just going to place it where the 2 stories meet. There we go. Lovely. Get rid of the backings of my my dimensionals. So now I'm just going to add the lights here in the top window, and I'm just using my tweezers, and these are just reverse tweezers, and make it really easy just to hold and position fiddly little pieces like this. So let's do that one there. And I love how this comes together. It just looks so cute. Very much cafe culture. So you could be in any European city almost with this. Really lovely. Okay, and I'm deciding whether I want to use this extra piece or not. We won't do it straight away now. Okay. So now I feel that everything's a little not grounded properly, it's just floating a bit. So I'm just using my Early Espresso marker here, as you can see, just to add some sketchy lines so it looks as if there's actually ground there. And this really helps us to literally ground all of my elements on the card, so it looks like they're not floating in midair, but they're actually sitting on the ground. And then I'm just adding some of these sequins, and these are the neutral adhesive back sequins, and I'm just adding a few here and there. And you can see now I've decided I want them in a different orientation. And there you go. I'm going to have them, 4 of them like that. So it's almost as I'm pinning down my scene onto my card, just as I did before. So there you go. There are the 2 cards. I hope you liked them. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know. And until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.